श्रीमते शंकरार्याय धीमते अद्भुतशक्तये नमोस्तद्वैत वेदांत स्थापनोपात्तमूर्तये श्रीहरिं परमानंदं पदेष्टारमीश्वरं व्यापकं सर्वलोकानां कारणं तं नमाम्यहम् अपरोक्षानुभूतिर्वै प्रोच्यते मोक्षसिद्धये सद्भिरेव प्रयत्नेन वीक्षणीया मुहुर्मुहुः. So we have covered the 30th shloka in the last class. So now we have to start the 31st shloka. Aham shabdena vikhyatah.
Aham shabdena vikhyata eka eva stitah paraha sthulatva praptaha katham syad dehakaha puman. Aham shabdena vikhyataha. By the word I, well known, Eka eva, one alone, stitaha, is present. Paraha, the supreme truth, sthulatvat, on account of being gross, na, not, ekatam, being one, praptaha, attained or possible, katham, how, syat, be, dehakaha, body, puman, self.
So the compare contrast between the body and the Atman is continued here, because that is the greatest, that is the toughest part. The discrimination between the body and the Atman is the toughest part in Vedanta. So it is being reiterated in so many ways. Aham shabdena vikhyataha ekayeva stitaha paraha. This Atman, which is beyond the body, paraha means beyond the body, is very well known by the use of the word aham. Even though the aham in the normal parlance refers to the ahankara, that is the ego, yet that ahankara, the word aham, actually indicates the Atman, because everybody, all of us know that we are the Atman, we are not Anatman. Everybody knows that. But only thing is, the mix-up of the Anatman also is there in this Atman. So when we say aham, we include the Anatman also in the aham. But that word aham actually indicates the Atman. So aham shabdena vikhyataha eka eva hi stita paraha. So that is one alone, whereas stulastu anekatam praptaha katham syat dehaka one. Whereas the stula shariram, that is the body, has become many. That is, there is plurality in the body, whereas aham is one alone. So this kind of distinction, when it is so very glaring, how can one consider that the body is the self? In the commentary, the Acharya says, Tadevaha ahamiti saptadihi. In 7 shlokas, this distinction between the Atman and Anatman is brought out with the refrain that Katham syat dehaka puman. So that question keeps repeating in 7 shlokas. That is, we have to put that question again and again to assert that we are not the Anatman or the body, but we are the Atman alone. So that kind of assertion is required. So the shlokas also contain the same refrain. Paraha, deha, danyaha, atma, aham shabdena. By usage of the word aham, we always indicate the Atman, which is beyond the body. Shabdaha iti upalakshanam pratyayasyapi. The word in the shloka, the word shabda is there, aham shabda, but then the aham word and the aham thought. The I thought is actually the ego. So the word aham and the thought that comes along with aham, that is the ego, that is the these two indicate the underlying Atman. So since Atman cannot have any name at all, there is no way in which we can address the Atman. So even in the Mahavakya, that is aham brahmasmi or tattvamasi, that aham is taken as the stepping stone or the indicator to indicate the Atman. So Atman, since there is no word to indicate at all the Atman, the closest one is the Aham Shabda. So the Aham Shabda is used there to indicate the Atman. That's why when we say Aham Brahmasmi, that Aham doesn't mean the ego, but it means the Atman that is indicated by the ego, indicated by the Aham or Aham word and the Aham thought. So Vikhyataha Prasiddha. So this Vikhyata means it is very well known. Aham Shabda indicates the Atman that is very well known. Kim Lakshanaha Ityataha Eka iti. So in what way is it very well known? So he says it is Eka Eva. Eka Eva is Eka Eva Schitaha. It is one alone. It is established as one alone. It remains as one alone. The Atman remains as one alone. Deva iti pratyekam avadharanam. In each and every adjective, we have to include the word eva. That is to say that it is, to stress that it is alone, we have to use that. So eka eva, sthitaha eva, paraha eva, stulatam, stulastu, anekatam. So in this Atma, all the words that indicate the Atman, we have to include the word eva to assert the to indicate the assertion. That is called avadharana. Eka eva sthitaha. Tu shabdaha purvoktat atmanaha sthuladehasya vailakshanya dotakaha. So sthulastu, in the second line, the word sthulastu is there. The tu is indicating the contrast from the Atman, the contrast of the anatman, the body, from the Atman, that is indicated by the word tu. Sthulaha dehakaha. So deha eva dehakaha. So in the shlokas, the word dehaka is used. The ka is a particle or the suffix. That suffix doesn't mean anything new here. It is simply meaning the Atman only, the body only. So the body alone, deha alone is stated as dehakaha. The ka pratyaya doesn't add any special sense, but still it is being used. That is, in sometimes what happens, the one letter is extra used to fill up the gap in the meter, or sometimes a rhyme will be required. For that ka will be used. So in any case, in this case, the ka doesn't add anything new to the word deha. Simply deha alone is called dehakaha. So deha eva dehakaha swarte ka pratyaya. The ka is a pratyaya. Pratyaya means it's a suffix. So the suffix ka is used in its own sense. In the sense, it doesn't add any new meaning. It's in its own sense. For example, the ka pratyaya is sometimes used to indicate something which is very, very low. That is, in the sense, it is very, very denigrated. For example, manavakaha. Sometimes the ka will indicate something which is being kutsita. That's called kutsitarte ka pratyaya. So when a good brahmana is there, brahmana kaha, if that is used, sometimes it will mean a very denigrated brahmana. So that ka can indicate a negative meaning also, but in this case, it doesn't indicate any negative meaning, but it is simply in the sense of the body itself. Katham puman purushaha atma syat na katanchid ityataha. Katham syat dehakaha puman. So how indeed can this purusha become the body? So in no way can the purusha be the body, because there is so much of contrast between the body and the Atman. Dehasya anatmatve hetumaha anekatamiti. So to show that the deha is distinct from the Atma, the contrast, the contrasting epithet or the attribute is shown here as anekatam. Anekatam parasparam bhinnatam praptaha. So anekatam means the body. See, in the body there are many bodies, but there are not many atmas. The Atman indwelling in every body is the same Atman. There is no distinction or there is no limitation to the Atman. Whereas the body is limited by its own size or form and time and space and all that. Whereas the Atman is never limited by any of these parameters. So while the bodies are many, Atma is one alone. That is the idea here conveyed. So anekatam parasparam bhinnatam praptaha. Evam tamaprakashavat iti प्रकाशवत् अतिवैलक्षण्यत्वे अपि देहस्य आत्मत्वं ब्रुवन् मूढत्वात् उपेक्ष्यः इति भावः. So here the shloka concludes by saying when so much of contrast is there between the body and the Atman, if someone takes the body to be the Atman, there cannot be greater ignorance than that. So tama prakasha bhat ati vailakshanyatve. Tama prakasha is tamaha is darkness, prakasha is light. So while the body and the Atman are so distinct like the darkness and the light, if someone takes the body to be the Atman, it is ati mudatvam. So ati mudatvat upekshaha iti bhavaha. So it has to be, such a person has to be simply ignored. In the next shloka, some more distinctions are being brought out.
Aham drashtataya siddho deho drishyataya stitaha mamayamiti nirdeshat katam syad dehakaha puman. Aham, I, drashtataya, as a witness, siddhaha, established, dehaha, body, drishyataya, as an object of perception, stitaha, is present. Mama, mine, I am this, iti, thus, nirdeshat, by expression, katham, how, syat, be, dehakaha, body, puman, self.
Aham drashtritaya siddha. So the words, these shlokas are also in such a way, are composed in such a way that we can commit to memory these shlokas, or even read these shlokas with the feeling that it is me who is saying these shlokas. So this, even though Bhagavad Pada has composed these shlokas in the first person, it is to help us to contemplate. So aham drashtritaya siddha. I am available here as the observer, the seer, and the body is the observed, the seen. It is the object, whereas I am the subject. Drishyataya sthitaha mama ayam iti nirdeshat. How do you know that? We know that because we very clearly say sometimes that this body of mine, so this is my body, this is not your body. So when something is hitting the body, we say that my body is being hit. So this kind of usages are also there in our common parlance. So that very clearly says that what is yours is not you. So when a person, that is why they give this common example of a person says that it is his dog. So he is not the dog. So he is different from what belongs to him. So that way the body belongs to me only, but then it is not me. So that is the idea brought out here. So aham drashtritaya siddha. I am the subject, whereas the body is the object. So the subject can never become the object, and the object can never become the subject. But still, this kind of mutual identification has come about because of ignorance. Mama ayam iti nirdeshat. Mama ayam dehaha. Mama idam shariram. So this kind of usages we have in our common parlance. So when that kind of a distinction is there, how can the body be taken to be the Atman? Tadeva ativailakshanyam darshayati. So some more distinction is being brought out here. Aham shabda pratyaya alambanaha atma drashtritaya shabdadi vishaya prakashakataya siddhaha. So aham shabda pratyaya alambanaha. So aham is the I, the ego. Aham shabda pratyaya alambanaha. So this Atman is the basis, or is the platform on which the word aham and the thought aham are used. So aham is the word, and the aham shabda is the aham word, and aham pratyaya is the aham thought. The I thought and the I word are actually used on the basis of the pure self. As we said before, that the pure self cannot be indicated by any word. The aham is the closest one with which you can indicate the pure self. So atma drashtritaya shabdadi vishaya prakashakataya. So drashta is the seer. So seer, the word seer is very, very significant here, because the word seer, drashta, in the Vedantic parlance does not mean the usage of the eye, the eyes, the organ eye. but then it includes all the sense organs. So it includes if a person smells something, then also it is he is the grana drashta, and if he tastes something, he is the rasa drashta. So if he hears something, he is shabda drashta. So that word drashta is very important here. It should not be confined to the ocular perception. It includes all the perceptions, all the kinds of perceptions. So drashtataya, shabdadi vishaya prakashakataya. So here also, it is not that the Atman sees something. It is not Atman really contacts something. It is simply the Atman is illumining something. So that what is illumined is the shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, that is sound, taste, form, etc., which are available in the world, which are all products of the Panchabhutas. Whereas the Atman is the one which illumines them. It never contacts them like the sense organ contacts the outside object. There is a contact. The Vedanta Paribhasha accepts a physical contact between the sense organ and the sense object. So that is required there. But then the Atman is there, which simply to illuminate the whole process. It doesn't contact anything really. Vishaya Prakashakataya Siddha Shabdam Shrunomi. So he's articulating that Shabdam Shrunomi Ityadi Vyavaharena Prasiddha. So how do we know that we are we illuminate, or we are the subject of certain objects? We use this. There is a usage like Aham Shabdam Shrunomi. I hear this sound. So this kind of usage we do make, and through that itself we can say that Aham is different and the Shabdam is different. Shabda is different. So Shabda is the object, whereas the Aham is the subject. So this kind of subject-object distinction we do make in our parlance. So in the previous sloka, he has shown that we see the body as the object. So Mama Ayam Shariram, Mama Ayam Dehaha. So there also the body is seen as an object. Here, the sense objects are seen as objects. That is, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha are seen as objects. So Shabdam Shrunomi Ityadi. So the word Shrunomi is in the first person, Uttama Purusha. So I hear this. So I hear this, I taste this. So the I cannot be the one that is being tasted. That is different. So that kind of distinction is being brought out in this sloka. Dehastu drishyataya shabdadivat prakashyataya sthitaha. But the body is available to us as an object, just like any other sense object, like a pot or a cloth or a tasty fruit or whatever is available as an object. The body is also an object. So in such a case, how can the body be taken to be the self? Tatra hetumaha mama iti. Mama ayam dehaha iti gatadivate sviya sambanditaya nirdeshat. So here, it is definitely shown as it is definitely addressed as something which belongs to me. So Mama Ayam Dehaha, it is my body. So Gatadivate, just like pot, etc., it is my house, it is my table, or it's my phone. In the same way, the body is also treated by us as something which belongs to us, but not we ourselves are the body. So Gatadivate, Sviya Sambandha Vishambandhi Taya Nirdeshat Vyavaharat. So this kind of Vyavahara is there definitely in everybody's life. And so it should not be difficult for us to make the clear discrimination between the body and the Atman. Evam Ubayoho Vailakshanya Sati Katham Dehakaha Puman Syat. So in all these cases, the contrast is brought out through our own experiences. They are not telling us anything new. They are only bringing out our experiences to in order to help us to focus on those experiences and see how we ourselves clearly use these terms like it is my body and all that, but then still we are deluded to take the body as the self. Katham Dehakaha Puman Syaditi Vyakyarthastaha Chaturstapadaha. The fourth quarter of that sloka has been explained in the previous instance itself, so it doesn't need an explanation now. Evam Agrepi Bodhavyam. The same way we have to take the fourth quarter meaning in the subsequent slokas also. Aham Drashtrutaya Siddhaha Dehaha Nityam Dehaha Drishyataya Siddhaha Mama Ayamiti Nirdeshat Katham Syat Dehaka Puman. Mandindo, Aham Vikari.
Aham vikarahinastu deho nityam vikaravan iti pratiyate sakshat katam syad dehakaha puman. Aham vikarahinaha. I am changeless too. On the other hand, dehaha, body, nityam vikaravan, ever changing. Idi, thus, pratiyate, is experienced. Sakshat, directly. Katham, how, syat, be, dehakaha, body, puman, self.
So here the transformations which are there in the body and no transformation in the Atman, that is being highlighted here. Aham vikara hinasto. I am free of any of the transformations. The body is born, the body grows, the body decays, and the body dies. But then the Atman is never born, it never grows, there is no decay to the Atman, there is no death to the Atman. This kind of a distinction is also there. And even in our own lifetimes, we have, so we pass through so many stages, like what is brought out in the shloka of the Dakshinamurti Stotram, Jagradadi Avasthasu. So this body, the body undergoes so many transformations, so many changes and all that, so many, it passes through so many transformations. But then the Atman is the witness of all them, whereas the Atman never undergoes the transformation. The Atman is the witness of those transformations. So in this shloka, that is being highlighted. Punar Vailakshyanantaramaha, another distinction is brought out in this shloka. Aham Vyakyatartaha. So again, we have to remember the distinction between the Aham and the Atman. The Aham word and the Aham thought, they are used to indicate the Atman. Vikarahinaha. I am free of any transformations. What are the transformations? Jayate, Asti, Ityadi, Shadvikarahinaha. So Jayate is the birth, Asti is the existence which a body gets after the birth, because before the birth of the body, we can't say that the body exists. So the Asti is shown as the second transformation, and the third one is the Vardhate, it grows. Then Apakshi Viparinamate, it undergoes a lot of changes in the, we can see a lot of changes in the body itself. Then Apakshiyate, there is the decay sets in, and then Nashyati, the death also is there ultimately. Whereas these transformations are not there for the Atman. So Jayate Ityadi Shadvikara Hinaha. There are 6 forms, 6 transformations. That's why it's called Shadvidha Vikaraha. To Vailakshanya. Here also, the body is completely distinct and in contrasted from the Atman. Dehaha Nityam Sarvakalam Vikaravan. Whereas the body is always of the nature of becoming transformed from one state to the another. Balyadishupi Jagradadishu Tatha Sarva Swavasthaswapi Vyavrittasu Anuvartamanamaham Iti Antaspurantam Sada. So in this Dakshinamurti Stotram, the states of the body, the states the body undergoes, like Balya Avastha, Kumara Avastha, Yavana Avastha, then Vridhapyam and all that. So all these states are there for the body. And then Jagradadi, the Jagrad, Swapna, Sushupti, these states are also there. And then Adi, from Adipada we can take the other, any other transformation like Mana, Apamana, a person becomes, he is having disease and sometimes he becomes acute from the disease. So the health and disease, though these transformations also can be taken there. Then a person becomes rich and then he becomes poor. He was illiterate before, he was not educated enough before, now he becomes educated. So all these transformations can be taken. But then the Atma is the one underlaying all these, or the thread that runs through all these transformations, but it itself doesn't undergo transformations. So that is the idea here in this sloka also. Aham Nityam Sarvakalam Vikarava Adehaha Nityam Sarvakalam Vikaravan. Atra Kim Pramanam. What is the Pramana for this? For that, he says, your own direct experience is the Pramana. It is Sakshat Pratyaksha Pramanena Pratiyate Anubhuyate. So everybody very clearly says that I was in some difficulty before, but now I have overcome the difficulty. Or the contrast can also be that I was very, very healthy some years back, but then later on some disease has set in. So this kind of distinction, or I was a child before, then I grew up, then all these things a person can recall in his own life. So these things are all pratyaksha pramanam. He need not, nobody needs to point these things to him. Nor does he have to read some text and know that he is having this transformation. These are all directly experienced by him. So when such is the case, how can the person take the body to be the Atman? Evam sati katham syat deha puman iti. Yasmat paramiti.
Yasmat paramiti shrutya taya purusha lakshanam vinirnitam vimudhena katham syat dehakaha puman. Yasmat param, then whom higher iti, thus taya shrutya, by the scripture, purusha lakshanam, the nature of purusha, vinirnitam, established, vimudhena, by men of wisdom, katham syat, how be, dehakaha puman, body is self.
So now, after having spoken of the direct experience that we have in our own lives, the Acharya is bringing the Shruti Pramanam also. The Veda also very clearly teaches that the Atman is of a distinct nature. So when such is the case, how can we take the body to be the Atman? So here in 2-3 shlokas, different Shruti passages are being annotated here. The first one is from the Mahanarayana Upanishad. Yasmat param na paramasti kinchit yasman naniyo. That is, many people have heard that nakarmana na prajaya mantra. It comes in this just before that. It is part of the Anoraniyan mantra. So yasmat param iti shrutya taya purusha lakshanam vinirnitam. So in this shruti, which starts by the words yasmat param, the shruti teaches that the purusha, that is the Atman, is of a very distinct nature, and he is of he is eternal. He doesn't undergo any change. Vinirnitam. So the Shruti has determined, it has established the nature of the Atman through this passage. So vimudhena katham syat dehaka puman. So how can the person who is of dull intellect, so in the sense here it is a kind of a shading, that is the person who takes the Atman to be the body to be the Atman. When the Shruti is teaching in such clear terms, there can't be a greater ignorant person than him. So that is the idea here. So here in the commentary, the Acharya cites the whole passage, Shruti passage. Evam yuktya dehatmanoho vailakshanyam uktva shrutyapi staha yasmaditi. So after having shown through reasoning, of course, which is based on experience, the distinction between the body and the Atman, or the contrast between the body and the Atman. Now, the Shruti passages are being cited here. Yasmat param na param asti kinchit yasman naniyo na jayosti kashchite. So here the meaning is Yasmat param na param asti. The Atman is the supreme nature. There is nothing higher than the Atman. In status or in hierarchy, there is nothing higher than the Atman. Yasmat param nasti. Na aparamasti, there is nothing higher than the Atman or greater than the Atman. Kinchit, nothing. Yasmat na aniyaha, na jayosti kashchite. There is nothing lesser than the Atman, not there is anything higher than the Atman, or there is nothing more than the Atman or less than the Atman. In the sense, there is no way in which the Atman can be brought in for any comparison. Like for example, in the created objects, we can say that this building is taller than the other building, or this the food cooked here is lesser than the food cooked elsewhere. So these kinds of distinctions we can have in the world, in the created objects. But then when the Atman is brought in here, there is no way we can bring the Atman to Vyavahara at all. That is why the Mandukya Upanishad says Avyavaharyam. In the 7th mantra, it says Avyavaharyam. That is, the Atman can never be brought into the domain of Vyavahara at all. whereas the non-Atman, the Anatman objects alone will be there in the Vyavahara state, and there alone can compare contrast will be possible. Whereas the Atman is out of this, it transcends the Vyavahara. So there is no way we can even compare anything in the creation with the Atman. So Najayosi Kashchite, Vriksha iva stabdaha divi tishtati ekaha. So it is giving a analogy of a tree. A tree is a deep-rooted tree, can't be shaken. So that is the idea here. Vriksha is stabdaha. It is so fixed, deep-rooted, like a tree. Divi tishtati. The Atman exists in its own glory. Here, Divi is Prakasha, that is the consciousness, pure consciousness. So Divi tishtati ekaha. It is one alone, without any second of any kind. Tena idam purnam purushena sarvam. So tena purushena idam sarvam purnam. This is the Purusha, this is the Atman, and by this Atman, the whole creation is full. In the sense, the whole creation is superimposed on this Atman. The whole creation derives its existence from this Atman. So these are the meanings that are possible from the word Purnam. So tena idam purnam purushena sarvam. We can take the analogy of the clay and clay products. The clay, each and every clay product, whether it is a huge pot or a jar or a small spoon or a saucer or a cup, all of them are full of clay only. So that is the idea here. So everything in creation is full of this Atman only. In the sense, at least, of course, the clay, in the example, we cannot say that clay lies outside and inside, whereas in the Atman is everywhere. It is outside and inside. It's outside the body and inside the body. It just takes space. They have space outside the house and inside the house also. So in the same way, Atman is there everywhere. It is there within every object, and it is outside the object also. Then we can even recall the nice comment that the Acharya gives in the Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter. Bahirantascha bhotanam acharam charamevacha sukshmatva tadavitneyam durastam antikechatates. I think that is a way it ends. So there the Bhagavad Pada says that the Atman is outside the body and inside the body. Then he raises a question. Okay, when you say there is space outside the house and inside the house, what about the walls which are demarcating the inside space and the outside space? What about that? Is there space there also? Of course, there is space there also. Only because there is space, the wall itself is able to remain there. So in the same way, Bhagavad Pada says, the inside the body, there is Atman fully filling the whole body, and outside the body also, the Atman is there filling the whole of the outside the body, the whole space, but then the whole world outside the body, but then even the bodies are Atman. That's the beauty there. So that is why the shloka also says, Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charamevacha. That word acharam and charam, that is the charachara jagate, that itself is the Atman. So from one angle, the charachara jagat is jada. It is anatma, it is mithya. But then from another angle, the charachara jagat is Atman. So that is, the Atman alone appears as the charachara jagat. So that is the extra point we get, in the bonus point we get from the shloka bhashya. Anyway, we will conclude here after taking note of the Shruti passage here. Purushena sarvam. So taya prasiddhaya Taittiriya Shrutya. So it belongs to the Taittiriya Aranyaka portion. That's why he is saying Taittiriya Shruti. That Mahanarayana Upanishad belongs to this Taittiriya Shaka. There are some more lines in this commentary. We will take them up next class. Shri Harim Paramanandam Upadeshtaram Ishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namam Yaham Aparokṣānubhūti Prochate Moksha Siddhaye Sadbhireva Prayatnena Vikshaniya Muhurmuhu Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vitaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvagnam Vidushekara Bharatim Shastram Sharira Mimamsa Devastu Parameshwaraha Acharya Shankaracharya Santume Janma Janmani Om Tat Sat.